6 months from today, you'll arrive. The only question is where. This simple truth changes everything once you really understand it. Time is going to pass whether you use it or not, whether you plan for it or not, whether you make it count or let it slip away like water through your fingers. You know what's fascinating? Right now, as you're listening to these words, the clock is ticking. It's ticking for you, it's ticking for me, it's ticking for everyone. And 6 months from this very moment, that's 180 days, 26 weeks, roughly 4,320 hours, you're going to wake up and be somewhere. The question isn't if you'll arrive at that future moment. You will. The question is what kind of life will be waiting for you when you get there. Let me tell you something I learned the hard way. For years I wandered through life like most people do. I had dreams, sure. I had wishes and wants and all these ideas about how things should be. But here's what I didn't have. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a system. I didn't understand that time is either your greatest ally or your worst enemy, depending entirely on what you do with it. And the difference between those two outcomes isn't complicated. It comes down to whether you're intentional about the next 6 months or whether you're just going to let them happen to you. Think about where you were 6 months ago. Go ahead. Really think about it. What were you worried about? What were you hoping for? What did you tell yourself you were going to do? Now look at where you are today. If you're like most people, you're not that much different than you were back then. Oh, maybe a few things changed on the surface. Maybe you got a little older. Maybe a few circumstances shifted around. But fundamentally, deep down where it really matters, you're probably standing in roughly the same place. And here's the thing that should wake you up. If you don't change something right now, 6 months from today you're going to be having this same realization all over again. The truth is, most people treat time like it's unlimited. They live like there's always going to be a tomorrow to start, always going to be a next week to get serious, always going to be a better moment somewhere down the road. But successful people, the ones who actually transform their lives, they understand something different. They understand that time is the raw material of life, and 6 months is enough raw material to build something extraordinary if you know what you're doing. Here's what I've learned after all these years of studying success and working with people from all walks of life. 6 months is the magic number. It's not too long that you lose sight of your goals. It's not too short that you can't build real momentum. It's that perfect window where discipline meets opportunity, where effort compounds into results, where small daily actions stack up into undeniable transformation. But you've got to approach it the right way. See, most people make one of two mistakes. The first group sets these massive, overwhelming goals with no real plan to achieve them. They say things like, I'm going to completely change my life. And then they try to change everything all at once. They last maybe 2 weeks before they burn out and go right back to their old habits. The second group does the opposite. They set such tiny, insignificant goals that even if they achieve them, nothing really changes. They rearrange the furniture, but they're still living in the same house. What I'm talking about is different. I'm talking about a systematic, strategic approach to the next 6 months that's both ambitious enough to excite you and practical enough to actually execute. I'm talking about understanding that success isn't some mysterious force that visits lucky people. It's the predictable result of doing specific things every single day for an extended period of time. Let me break this down for you. Success is seasonal. You plant in the seasonal, spring. You cultivate in the summer, you harvest in the fall, and you reflect in the winter. But here's what happens. Most people want to harvest before they plant. They want the results without the process. They want the destination without the journey. And when they don't get instant results, they quit. They say, this doesn't work. But it's not that it doesn't work, it's that they didn't work it long enough. 6 months gives you 2 complete cycles to plant and harvest. You can start something, adjust it, refine it, and start seeing real results before half a year is up. But only if you have a plan. Only if you know exactly what you're planting and why. Now, I want to talk about why most people never create a real plan for their lives. It's not because they're lazy, most people work hard. It's not because they're not smart too. Most people have plenty of intelligence. The real reason is fear. They're afraid that if they make a plan and it doesn't work out, they'll have to face the fact that they failed. So instead of creating a clear target and aiming at it, they keep everything vague. They say, I want to do better, instead of, I want to earn this specific amount. They say, I want to get in shape, instead of I want to lose this many pounds and build this much muscle. Vague goals protect the ego, but they destroy the future. Here's what you need to understand. A goal without a plan is just a wish, and wishes don't come true just because you want them to. Results come from activity, the right activity, done consistently, over a period of time. And 6 months is plenty of time if you stop wishing and start working. Let me tell you about something that happened to me years ago. I was struggling financially, struggling with my health, struggling with relationships, basically struggling with everything. And one day someone asked me a question that changed my entire life. They said, "How much time are you spending on your future?" I didn't know what they meant at first. I said, "Well, I think about my future all the time." And they said, "No, I didn't ask how much time you spend thinking about it. I asked how much time you spend working on it, planning it, building it." That stopped me cold, because the answer was almost nothing. I was spending all my time dealing with whatever crisis was in front of me, reacting to circumstances, letting life happen to me. I wasn't investing any real time in designing the life I actually wanted. So I started experimenting. I started dedicating 1 hour every single day to planning and working on my future. Not dealing with urgent things, not putting out fires, but actually building something. And you know what happened? In 6 months, my entire life looked different. Not because of some miracle, not because I got lucky, but because I finally understood that time applied intelligently is the most powerful force in the universe. The compound effect is real. If you get just 1% better every day, for 6 months, you won't be 6% better, you'll be transformed. Because improvement multiplies, it doesn't just add. Every skill you build makes the next skill easier to build. Every good habit makes the next good habit easier to maintain. Every day you show up disciplines you to show up the next day. It all compounds. But here's the thing about the compound effect. It works both ways. If you get a little bit worse every day, if you let things slide just a little bit, if you make poor choices that seem insignificant in the moment, that compounds too. 6 months of small negative choices will put you in a hole that takes years to climb out of. 6 months of small positive choices will put you on a mountain looking at a view most people never see. So which direction are you compounding? Right now, today, with the choices you're making, are you compounding towards success or away from it? Because you're definitely compounding. There's no standing still in life. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. You're either moving toward your goals or away from them. And 6 months is enough time to build serious momentum in either direction. Now let me talk about the architecture of a real 6-month plan, because this is where most people get it wrong. They think planning means making a list of things they want. That's not planning, that's daydreaming. Real planning is when you look at your life and identify the specific areas that need transformation, then you create measurable activities that will produce the results you want. Here's how I think about it. There are 4 major areas of life that matter: your finances, your physical health, your personal development, and your relationships. Everything else is a subset of these 4. And here's the beautiful thing. If you improve all 4 of these areas over 6 months, you don't just improve your life, you transform it completely. You become a different person. Let's start with finances, because that's where most people feel the pressure. Money isn't everything, but it sure does affect everything. And most people have a very confused relationship with money. They want more of it, but they don't want to do what it takes to earn more of it. They complain about not having enough, but they don't study how money works. They blame the economy, their boss, their circumstances, but they don't take responsibility for their own financial education. Here's what I learned about money. It's simple, but it's not easy. To have more money 6 months from now than you have today, you need to do one or more of 3 things. Earn more, spend less, or invest better. That's it. There's no secret formula. There's no shortcut. But within those 3 categories, there are thousands of specific actions you can take. The question is, which ones are you going to commit to for the next 6 months? Let me give you an example. Let's say you decide that over the next 6 months, you're going to increase your income. Well, how? You could develop a new skill that makes you more valuable at work. You could start a side business. You could ask for a raise. You could switch to a higher paying job. You could create something and sell it. There are dozens of ways. But here's what you can't do. You can't just hope for more money. You can't just wish for it. You have to plan for it, and then you have to execute that plan every single day. And this is where the daily disciplines come in. Success isn't about what you do once in a while, it's about what you do every single day. If you want to increase your income, what are you going to do today? Are you going to read for an hour to develop a valuable skill? Are you going to work on your side project for 2 hours? Are you going to make those calls, send those emails, have those conversations? Because here's the thing. What you do today might not change your life, but what you do every day for 6 months absolutely will. The same principle applies to your physical health. You know, your body is the vehicle that carries you through life. If you don't take care of it, everything else gets harder. You can have all the money in the world, all the opportunities, all the potential, but if you don't have your health, you can't enjoy any of it. And the beautiful thing about your body is that it responds to consistency. It doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care about your intentions. It responds to what you actually do. If you eat well and move your body consistently for 6 months, you will transform physically. It's not a maybe, it's a guarantee. Your body has no choice but to adapt to the demands you place on it. But most people never find out what they're capable of because they never stay consistent long enough to see real results. They work out for 2 weeks, don't see massive changes, and quit. They eat well for a few days, then have one bad meal and give up entirely. They treat their health like a light switch, on or off, instead of understanding that it's a gradual process that requires patience and persistence. Here's what a 6-month physical transformation plan looks like. You decide exactly what you're going to do each day. Maybe it's walking for 30 minutes. Maybe it's lifting weights 3 times a week. Maybe it's cutting out sugar. Maybe it's drinking more water. Whatever it is, it needs to be specific, measurable, and sustainable. Not some crash diet that you can't maintain. Not some extreme workout program that burns you out. Simple, sustainable actions that you can do every single day for 6 months. And then you track it. You write it down. You keep score. Because what gets measured gets improved. When you can look back at your journal and see that you worked out 20 days this month, that tells you something. When you can see that you've eaten healthy meals 85% of the time, that gives you data. And data doesn't lie. Your feelings lie. Your excuses lie. But your journal tells you the truth about whether you're really showing up or just telling yourself you are. Now let's talk about personal development, because this is where most people completely miss the boat. They think success is about doing more. It's not. Success is about becoming more. You can't have more than you've got until you become more than you are. The only way your life is going to change is if you change. The only way your results are going to get better is if you get better. So the question is, who do you need to become to have the life you want? What skills do you need to develop? What knowledge do you need to acquire? What habits do you need to build? What character traits do you need to strengthen? These aren't theoretical questions. These are the most practical questions you can ask, because the answers tell you exactly what you need to work on for the next 6 months. Here's what I learned. Successful people are learners. They read, they study, they listen, they observe. They're constantly feeding their minds with new information, new perspectives, new strategies. Unsuccessful people think they already know everything they need to know. They stopped learning when they left school. They stopped growing when they got comfortable. And then they wonder why their lives don't change. If you read just 10 pages of a good book every single day for 6 months, you'll read approximately 1,800 pages. That's 6 to 8 books depending on the size. Now think about this. 6 books that teach you about business, about money, about relationships, about health, about philosophy, about success. How much more would you know 6 months from now? How much better would you be at making decisions? How much clearer would you be about what you need to do? The difference would be staggering. But most people won't do it. They'll say they're too busy. They'll say they're too tired. They'll say they don't have time. But they'll spend 2 hours watching television every night. It's not about time. It's about priorities. And if personal growth isn't a priority, nothing else really matters, because you'll stay the same person trying to get different results. That doesn't work. You've got to work on yourself harder than you work on your job. You've got to invest in your own development more than you invest in entertainment. You've got to become the kind of person who attracts the kind of life you want. And then there are relationships. This might be the most important area of all, because you can have money, health, and knowledge, but if you don't have good relationships, you'll be miserable. Human beings are social creatures. We need connection. We need community. We need people who support us, challenge us, and believe in us. But here's what most people don't understand. The quality of your relationships is a direct reflection of the quality of person you are. If you want better relationships, become a better person. If you want more loyal friends, become more loyal. If you want more supportive people in your life, become more supportive. If you want to attract high-quality people, develop high-quality character. It's that simple. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. Over the next 6 months, you need to evaluate your relationships honestly. Who are you spending time with? Are these people adding to your life or subtracting from it? Are they encouraging your growth or enabling your excuses? Are they going somewhere or are they stuck? Because here's a hard truth. You become like the 5 people you spend the most time with. If those 5 people are negative, broke, unhealthy, and going nowhere, guess what's going to happen to you? If those 5 people are positive, growing, ambitious, and disciplined, guess what's going to happen to you? This doesn't mean you abandon people who are struggling. It means you're intentional about who you allow to influence your thinking. It means you protect your mind and your energy. It means you seek out people who are further along than you are, people who can teach you, people who model what you want to become. And at the same time, you work on becoming the kind of person that others want to be around. You develop your character. You keep your word. You show up when you say you will. You add value to every interaction. Now here's where all of this comes together. You've got 4 major areas: finances, health, personal development, and relationships. You've got 6 months, 180 days, to make significant progress in all 4. The way you do this is by designing your days. Because your days become your weeks become your months, and your months become your life. If you want to know where you're going to be in 6 months, look at what you're doing today. Today is the foundation. Today is where everything either comes together or falls apart. So what does a day look like when you're serious about transformation? It starts with intention. You plan the night before. You wake up with purpose. You tackle your most important work first while you have the most energy and focus. You protect your time from distractions. You track your progress. You reflect on what worked and what didn't. This daily rhythm, repeated consistently for 6 months, creates compound results that most people can't even comprehend. While everyone else is drifting, reacting to circumstances, hoping things will get better, you're building. Every single day, you're putting another brick in place. And after 6 months, while they've gone nowhere, you've built something real. But let me tell you about the hard part. Because there is a hard part. Around month 4, something happens. You hit a wall. The initial excitement is gone. The results might not be as obvious as you hoped. You're tired. You're questioning whether this is worth it. This is where most people quit. This is where they tell themselves it's not working. This is where they go back to their old habits and their old life. But here's what you need to understand. This wall is part of the process. It's not a sign that you should quit. It's a sign that you're in the middle of real transformation. It's the chrysalis stage. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. But on the inside, everything is changing. The caterpillar is becoming a butterfly. And if it gives up during this stage, it stays a caterpillar forever. When you hit this wall, you don't need motivation. Motivation got you started, but it won't keep you going. What you need is commitment. You need to remember why you started. You need to look at how far you've come. You need to refuse to quit just because it's hard. Because here's the truth. Anything worth having is going to be hard. Getting in shape is hard. Building wealth is hard. Developing yourself is hard. Building great relationships is hard. But you know what else is hard? Being broke. Being out of shape. Being stuck in the same place year after year. You're going to face hard either way. The question is, which hard do you want? The heart of discipline or the heart of regret? The heart of discipline weighs ounces. The heart of regret weighs tons. Choose discipline. Push through the wall. Keep showing up even when you don't feel like it. Keep doing the work even when nobody's watching. Keep investing in yourself even when the results aren't obvious yet. Because they will come. The harvest always comes for those who plant in season and cultivate faithfully. Let me tell you something else that happens during these 6 months. You change. Not just your circumstances, but you. The person who starts a 6-month success plan is not the same person who finishes it. You can't do what it takes to transform your life without transforming yourself in the process. You become more disciplined. You become more confident. You become more capable. You become more resilient. You prove to yourself that you can set a goal and achieve it. You prove that you can overcome obstacles. You prove that you're in control of your life, not a victim of your circumstances. This internal transformation is actually more valuable than any external result, because once you become the kind of person who can execute a 6-month plan, you can do anything. The skills you develop, the character you build, the habits you form, these stay with you forever. You can lose money and make it back. You can lose opportunities and find new ones. But you can't lose who you've become. That's permanent. And here's what happens after the 6 months are over. You don't stop. This isn't a one-time thing. This becomes your life. You finish the 6 months, you evaluate your results, you celebrate your progress, and then you create the next 6-month plan. Because success isn't a destination, it's a way of living. It's a continuous process of setting goals, executing plans, learning from the results, and setting new goals. Some people will look at what I'm describing and think, it sounds exhausting. They'll say, I don't want to be that structured. I don't want to live my life on a schedule. I want to be free. And here's what I tell them. Discipline is freedom. When you have the discipline to do what needs to be done, you have the freedom to do what you want to do. When you have the discipline to manage your money, you have the freedom to spend without stress. When you have the discipline to take care of your health, you have the freedom to enjoy your body. When you have the discipline to develop yourself, you have the freedom to choose your path. The people who think discipline is restrictive are the same people who are trapped by their circumstances. They're trapped by debt because they didn't have the discipline to spend less than they earn. They're trapped by poor health because they didn't have the discipline to eat well and exercise. They're trapped in jobs they hate because they didn't have the discipline to develop valuable skills. They're trapped in toxic relationships because they didn't have the discipline to set boundaries and build their character. They chose the easy path thinking it would lead to freedom, but it led to prison. True freedom comes from discipline. It comes from doing what you need to do so you can do what you want to do. It comes from paying the price early so you don't have to pay it later with interest. It comes from understanding that the pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret lasts forever. So here's what I want you to understand. 6 months from today, you'll arrive somewhere. You don't get to choose whether time passes. That's going to happen regardless. What you get to choose is whether you use that time or waste it. You get to choose whether you show up 6 months from now as a transformed person with transformed circumstances, or whether you show up as the same person with the same problems plus 6 more months of regret. The choice is yours. Nobody can make it for you. Nobody can do the work for you. Nobody can transform your life for you. This is on you. But here's the good news. You can do this. You absolutely can. The tools are simple. The path is clear. What it takes is a decision followed by consistent action. That's it. Decide that you're going to take the next 6 months seriously. Decide that you're going to create a plan and execute it. Decide that you're going to show up every single day and do the work, and then do it. Don't wait for the perfect time because there is no perfect time. Don't wait until you feel ready because you'll never feel completely ready. Don't wait for someone to give you permission because nobody's coming to save you. Start today. Right now. This moment. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Not on the 1st of the month. Today. Take out a piece of paper and write down where you want to be 6 months from now. Be specific. How much money do you want to have saved or earned? What do you want to weigh? What skills do you want to have developed? What books do you want to have read? What relationships do you want to have built or strengthened? Write it all down. Make it real. Make it concrete. Then work backwards. If that's where you want to be in 6 months, what do you need to accomplish in 3 months? What about in 1 month? What about this week? What about today? Break it down into daily actions. Small, manageable steps that you can take every single day. Because here's the secret. You don't have to do everything today. You just have to do something. You just have to take one step. And then tomorrow, you take another step. And the day after that, another step. And after 6 months of steps, you've climbed a mountain. Most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in 6 months. They try to transform everything overnight, fail, and give up. Don't be like most people. Be patient with the process, but urgent with action. Understand that transformation takes time, but also Understand that time is going to pass anyway, so you might as well be building something. You know what the saddest thing in the world is? It's someone who gets to the end of their life and realizes they could have done so much more. They had the time, they had the ability, they had the opportunity, but they didn't use it. They let fear hold them back. They let doubt paralyze them. They let excuses justify their inaction. And now it's too late. They can't get those years back. They can't get those opportunities back. All they have is regret. Don't let that be you. Don't waste the gift of time. Don't squander the opportunity you have right now to change your life. 6 months is all you need to prove to yourself what you're capable of. 6 months is all you need to build momentum that will carry you for years. 6 months is all you need to transform from someone who wishes things were different to someone who makes things different. The clock is ticking. It's been ticking since you started listening to these words, and it will keep ticking long after you finish. The question is, what are you going to do with the ticks you have left? Are you going to invest them or spend them? Are you going to build something or let them slip away? Are you going to show up 6 months from now transformed, or are you going to show up with nothing but 6 more months of excuses? You already know the answer. Deep down, you know what you need to do. You know what changes you need to make. You know what disciplines you need to adopt. You know what habits you need to break and what habits you need to build. The knowledge is there. What's been missing is the commitment. What's been missing is the decision to actually do something about it. Make that decision now. Decide that you're done talking about what you're going to do someday. Decide that you're done making excuses. Decide that you're done settling for less than what you're capable of. Decide that the next 6 months are going to be different. Decide that you're going to become the kind of person who sets a plan and executes it. Decide that you're going to prove to yourself what you're really made of. And then remember this: success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. That's it. It's not complicated. It's not mysterious. It's not reserved for special people. It's available to anyone who's willing to do what it takes. Anyone who's willing to show up every day. Anyone who's willing to stay committed when it gets hard. Anyone who's willing to pay the price of discipline rather than the price of regret. 6 months from today, you'll arrive. Make sure when you get there, you're proud of who you've become and what you've built. Make sure you can look back at these 180 days and know you gave it everything you had. Make sure you can say, I didn't waste this time. I used it. I invested it. I transformed because of it. That's success. That's a life well lived. That's what it means to be fully human and fully alive. The plan is simple. The path is clear. The time is now. 6 months from today, you'll arrive. The only question is, where?